welcome to today's episode of Political Arena right here on Delta Rainbow Television, Worry. My name is Organic Carol Adwakwo, and with me in the studio is Comrade Yakwani Vicent, who is the coordinator at Bega Political Vanguard. And also with us in the studio is Honorable S.A. Jerry Azakaza, the public affairs analyst. And we equally have the professor, Chief Patrick Omarigage JG, lecturer Dennis Osadebe, University Online. Welcome on board, gentlemen, to Political Arena.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Deltas. Thank you for having me.
All right, on today's episode of Political Arena, we are having conversations with regards to local government autonomy. This conversation has been on for the longest time, but we got to know that on Tuesday, the National Assembly granted full autonomy to the 774 local governments of Nigeria, as INEC is now to conduct local government elections and no longer state electoral commissions as it used to be in the state of Delta State, DESIEC. That's looking like a new norm. But then, to what extent will this help the local governments? Is this the best way to go? Does INEC has what it takes to conduct elections for local government chairmanships for the 774 local government areas across Nigeria? We'll begin with the Prof this morning.
Yes, good morning. Actually, granting of local government autonomy is a good omen in the polity and political development in Nigeria. Local governments are meant to be autonomous because that is government at the grassroots. The way it has been was not the best. Local government being an appendage of the state, and local government not being in tune with their locality and even an activities within their locality, being a dictate of the state, and the state using it as a tool, has not been the best. So granting the autonomy as approved by the National Assembly, what I will solicit for now is that all the state National Assembly should also agree with what the National Assembly has done and let the local government operate autonomously, in terms of financial, in terms of administrative, in all ramifications, and there the government will reflect and represent the people as it's supposed to be. So it's a good omen.
Okay, Honorable S.A., what do you think about it generally?
Yes, thank you once again. I would like to pick some few statements we wanted to actually start off from, which the respected Prof had actually highlighted, that has to do with the actually 2/3 of the state assemblies. So for me, maybe I don't want to be pessimistic, but I want to say that because of the stages that I do understand that this whole process has to take, it would seem to me that we are not really out of the woods yet over this distortion in our political affairs as it relates to federal structure in terms of presidential system, as it were, because it takes stages. One is a good start, no doubt, but by the time they transmit, we should understand that most of the governors, they seem to have within influence on the state assemblies, which like our borrow Prof's word, the appendages of the state governors, and then if it dies there, we can go through that. Or it could be resurfaced, but it might just be after the lifespan of the 10th assembly, as it were. Where people will not have to raise it again. For me, it's a good start, but I think it's just for us to begin to have these civil societies and those who matters to impress it and begin to push for the state assemblies, which will require at least a minimum of 24 to make the 2/3, to come up to say, okay, we have approved this for us to be able to have headway, because it's a good start, like I said.
Comrade Inquire, what's your thoughts? Do you see as state assemblies taking this law up, or do you see them voting against it?
Well, thank you very much. The Prof have analyzed everything very well. The only problem we have, this issue of local government autonomy has been on ground for a very long time. Last year, before the expiration of the last government of Okuba, the current governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Bolibori, they did approve or pass the bill of local government autonomy in Delta State, which they signed into law. So far there's only about 11 states that have signed the bill. So as it is, it's still a process, it's an ongoing process. The only fear we have is that some of the states till now are still operating on a critical committee. And those states, they've not signed the bill. And since the National Assemblies have passed it into law, we pray that the other states will be able to sign it so that it can become a law.
Okay, I'll come back to Prof already, because I saw an information, a data that captured that in about 13 states, what they have is active caretaker committees manning local government areas. What would you say the fear is for most state governors or most state governments with regards to allowing for full local government autonomy?
Well, thank you. The fear is that first and foremost, if you talk about people, the people, citizens, they all emanate from specific local governments. So most governors are afraid that if they give the full autonomy to the local government, they will not be in that strong grip of the people. It will be much towards the local government chairman than the governor per se. In a federal setting, we have a breaking down of government, that the people can be in touch with. Ideally, in a local government, the people can have a sense of belonging and participatory process, in government, decision, and different aspects of government process, But when you have government operating from the state level, somehow the government has been distant, from the people. So, but if it is at this local government level, the government will be closer, and there will be more patronage, more participation, more, involvement of the people, and that will be, some governments will see it as a divided attention. They want to have, a process where they can issue command to caretakers, and caretakers have no alternative but to carry out their directives. It's like in autocracy, in military setting. So most of them, in terms of administration, in terms of finances, and all resources generation and all that, governors, majority of the governors wants to operate that autocratic pattern that the military has been operating. So they still want to be in charge, not a local government, chairman per se. They want to be the one issuing the directives, and somehow, I do not want to go so much into detail of what is happening now. Some local governments go into maybe getting resources from all these cyclists, whatever, market stalls and all that. I understand that those finances and resources, they remit back to the state. Some certain percentage, yes, some certain percentage is goes back to the state. But if they are autonomous, it's not meant to be. It's just the same thing with what is happening now between the state and the federal. Now, if you have a proper federating unit, the local governments are units of their own. The state is a unit of their own. You know, they are meant to contribute. The local government is meant to contribute towards the state, and the state is meant to contribute towards the center, and not the other way around, where you have the center giving order and directive to the, you know, the state, and the state in all, you know, in its own on its own ground, as it is now, giving orders to the local government. It's supposed not to be. It's supposed to be, you know, a government that, you know, they act cooperatively. You know, they act cooperatively and, you know, kind of reinforcing one another. You know, whenever there is a problem or an issue that is beyond the capacity of a local government, the state comes to the assistance. And the same thing applies to, you know, the relationship between the federal and the state. You know, not, you know, a dictating type, you know, but a cooperative type.
Okay, so I gave a detail earlier. I said about 13 states. That's wrong information. As the actual number of states where local governments are manned by caretaker committees is 17, and we have a total of about 323 local government areas that are manned by caretaker committees instead of elected local government chairmen in Nigeria. But I would like to go over now to Honorable Essay, bearing in mind the challenges, you know, the objections of certain state governors. Would you say that if indeed, let's be optimistic here when we say that somehow the bill miraculously passes at, you know, most of the state house of assemblies, yes, do you see INEC giving us the kind of elections that will get people coming out to vote during local government elections? Because we have a situation where even in states that are not manned by caretaker committees, where elections are being held by the State Electoral Commission, most people have no interest whatsoever because they feel, oh, there is an issue of credibility right there. So do you see it going different if INEC is invited to do that?
Well, I think I would like to start from the last poser. Yes, of course, if INEC is given the responsibility to take over the election processes that has to do with local government councils, I think it would be a lot more different. Because today, for example, if you ask me to throw my hat to the ring as it relates to no one is ordinary, but to become a councillor, in my ward, for example, I wouldn't want to do that. Particularly if I'm not in the party, for instance, that we say controls that state. It's always going to go one direction. Whether it's APC, whether it's PDP, whether it's JP, whatever party it is, it's 100%. The only time you see some exclusivity is a situation where, of course, grassroots will determine, but where somebody who perhaps is favored by the governor of the day, say for the fact that for certain reasons, they have asked him to go to party B. And then, to that effect, the governor's party may likely lose, but not because it actually was going to lose. Because the structure is patterned in a way, negatively though, where it favors the party in control as it relates to that state. Now, going forward, I want to believe that INEC actually can do well in giving us the kind of election that we need. Because people have some leaves of fresh air, where they say, okay, at least we can have some few councils in Akitin and what have you. So, but as it stands now, is a no-thing. So for me, I still want to go back to that processes. Because you mentioned miracles, so I want to say maybe miraculous because I believe in miracle that it could work. We all want that to happen because we believe that the local government is the closest to the people, just like Prof rightly alluded to. But as it stands now, with the kind of control we have, influence left, right, and center, I don't want to go deep into those details. It will be an opulent task to have this thing passed. Because 2022, it was just like yesterday. These same efforts were made. It was killed at the state level. For instance, if you, by your own record, you have about 17 states being controlled by caretaker committee, which is illegal because even court has decided on that. But another thing is the docility of the people. We are not pushing for something we know. It just leave them, let them go ahead with that. And then when people are docile, like they say, evil strives when good people sit back and do nothing. We are not moving. Hence, I started, or one of my remarks was that civil society and all that should make some level of assertion. Not that they can compare, but when people see people coming up to say, well, now it is the time for us to get this right, and if they see the majority of that, perhaps that's why you have countries where referendum is part of the constitution. When the voices are so loud, this sort of things we are clamoring for will just come easily. But right now, as it stands, I am optimistic, at the same time pessimistic, but I just want to stay on the optimism based on the miraculous expectation.
But you didn't tell us if you see INEC performing better than the CX.
I see INEC performing reasonably better than CX. Because at the level we are there, at the federal level, it is also would have been very easy, even though we have some chunks of it, it could have been easy for the federal leadership, whoever the president is, just like the state governors, to determine that the party of the day will have at least 85% of the states being controlled by that party. But now with the electoral act and what is in there now, including the beavers that have just been introduced, the possibility of manipulation, maneuvering has actually come down, and we will see much of this improvement. Today, the only thing that is at best being used at the state, at the local government level in any state is the voter card. Any other thing doesn't work there. Even while they were using card readers, they weren't being used at the local government election. I experienced that, and nobody will raise that eyebrow because, of course, it is the local independent election commission that is conducting the election, and who appoints them? The state governor. Who gives them direction? The state governor. So I think INEC would do better. We'll have some leads of fresh air, and then we'll continue to improve from there. My prayer and the miracle I expect is for us to have this thing actually finally done with.
Honorable Essay, I'm surprised that you are, in support of INEC and you are smiling at the same time. I'm wondering.
It's like picking between two devils. You are in between the devil and the WC. You don't have options. You either jump into the sea,
one.
And in most cases, you are going to jump into the sea because you are afraid of what the devil might do to you before death comes. So in this case, if you look at all that has happened in all the states, in comparison to that has happened as relates to election conduct and what have you, INEC for me in this case is the better devil.
Okay, well, let's hear from Comrade Yakwa represent. What do you think, really? Do you feel like INEC has the capacity to be able to do this in a way that Nigerians will appreciate, or is it just going to be business as usual?
Thank you very much. I think the problem we have presently in Nigeria is the issue of trust, because the state government, they don't trust what the federal government is trying to do. Because we are talking of the Independent National Electoral Commission, for them to conduct elections from the states. What of other parastatals that aid or work for the elections to take place? We talk of the security. If they are conducting elections in the states, till now, the federal government is still in control of all the security apparatus in the federal government. If you are breaking it down, why don't they just break it? Why don't they do it holistically, so that when they separate the INEC, the states is the power? Is it breaking down to the state and the local government too, and other things? So the problem is that the states, most of the state government don't trust the federal government to come and conduct the elections the way they want it in their states. If they trust them, they will allow, they will pass the bill so that the elections will be conducted by the federal government. I think that is one of the main bone of contention here, because to correct just last December, Ondo State, they dissolved their local government. So we have 16 states having a critical committee presently, and 20 having elected local government council executives. Yes.
Okay. Well,
let me just come in here. In fact, in our situation, when you talk about independence, I do laugh. There is nothing like independence Electoral Commission yet. How independent are they? Who appoints them? Who pays them? Who determines their activities? Who set the agenda? So if these things are not yet in proper perspectives, you can never say that they are what? Independent. I do not expect someone I appoint to come and act contrary to what, to my own wish. That is the truth. But coming to your question, how credible will that be? Elections done from the federal, not from the state. Just like what the comrade, yes, I said. It's like looking at two devils. You have a devil that is your brother. You have a devil that is outside. You better fall for the one that is your brother. You understand? So the thing there, if the federal does the job, it will be better. But the one of the states, in fact, there has never been elections.
Absolutely.
At the state level. There is apolitical at the state level. Why? Because the people are just fed up. It's the person that is the governor that will determine who is a chairman or who is a councillor. Of course, they even arrange it. They arrange it. So any other person cannot be at the local level. So if this law happened to sail through, there might be some level of changes. Yes. Those who want to pay will pay more. Those who want to pay their way will pay more. Because you're not paying at the state level now. You are paying at the federal level. The governor is going to garner a lot of money to get his or her candidate to sail through. You get the number of the chairmen you want to sail through. Of course, it will be for it will be for as cheap as it way it used to be.
Prof, that is you entirely discarding the beavers and saying, "Oh,
forget about beavers, forget about all those things." I do not want to condemn, my nation. I'm on screen, but forget about beavers. Beavers are constructs of the people. Whatever electronics is input, output.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Is what you garbage in that you get. You got the interpretation of the court. So forget about that one. Let's not talk about that. But the thing is, if there is much hurdle to be crossed, not that the way it was so easy, that if a governor says, is this person, is that person, it's a governor that determines it. But now, it's not more the governor. If it happens to sail through, it's not going to be the governor again. It's going to be from the INEC office in Abuja. Maybe the chairman will eat more. Are you getting me? So, and the commissioners will eat more.
I didn't know that the chairman eats.
No. I'm not saying it. I'm just.
Yeah. But okay, if we're going to look at, because you've talked about the challenges with INEC, with SEC, there's a peculiar challenge, and the challenge is independence and credibility. Don't you think maybe a way to have made this law easy for governors, for even governors to want to assent to, is to not just kick out the SECs entirely, but to look for a way to say, how can SEC be independent? Can we fund them from the federal level? Let them exist on their own, regardless of the state government. Don't you think this might just be a better way for lawmakers to have put this kind of a bill and make it just easy to push through, and by extension we start seeing maybe little changes at the local level when it comes to elections? Do you rule that out entirely, Honorable Essay?
Not exactly. What you've said now, I think it's peculiar to our behavioral attitude. I think it is our behavioral attitude both from followership and then these persons who are given now both financial or attempted to be given financial and administrative autonomy. Now, the reason why we are seated here seeing how we are seeing now, like somebody said, is trust deficit. Because if we trust what the legislation is going to do, and that which the executive arm is going to do, we'll have less time to talk about this. Rather, we'll be looking at the beauty of it. But for now, if you ask me and if I want to put it on one sentence, I think it's a good time, if it says true, for us to do another trial with INEC, not SIEC again.
Another trial with INEC.
We have tested SIEC across board for many years running now. Look at our local government. Nothing is happening. All the councils, well, if we use data set as a case study, every one of you here has come from one local government or the other. If you tell me that your local government is doing well, maybe we'll have to go and look at it.
That is zero.
You understand? So it is time for me, because just as they said, change is the only thing that is not static. So for me, let us make a change by allowing this fly and then let INEC do something. Because you can actually come back again and revisit it.
Let INEC do something.
Yes, you can actually come back again and revisit it. We have tested the...
Something in me is wanting to sneeze, but that court, but I'm not going to say anything.
You see, because if you have, then it is not to some extent full autonomy to the local government council if SIEC at the state level still conducts local government elections.
Okay.
It's not going to be the same. Because don't forget, we still do not have what you call this devolution of powers that the state, for instance, state police and all that.
Yeah.
All right. If you can't have a state police, if you want to go by that level where we come gradually, because they say we are not mature for that now. If you are giving local government financial autonomy, administrative autonomy, it therefore means it is only right for INEC to conduct the election for now, except it doesn't sail through.
How about
it's logical for INEC to conduct the election.
Okay, let me just hear the view of Honorable Eyakwari Vincent just before I move on to the next.
I think they've said it all. A lot of things will come into play when looking at this local government autonomy and INEC conducting elections. If you go to, mostly in the West, you have some states creating some area development councils, which the federal government does not recognize. But for administrative purposes, they've created this local government. Although it's about doing theirs, like as I told you, they just dissolve their own so that they can conduct the elections coming up this 2024 to accommodate those things. So if INEC is going to conduct the local government elections, it means all those local government development councils will totally be scrapped. And most states are crying for having more local government, such development councils, so that the development will come to the grassroots. So these are some of the bottlenecks we are looking at. And we talk of this devolution of power, as my Honorable just said now. He said, if you are devolving power, you are looking at only one side. Is it not a game stick now for the federal government to just shift this thing? We are giving local government autonomy. What of the states? What of the security apparatus? What of agriculture? What of the petroleum industry? Where you see some of these mineral resources, some states are mining there, while some states are using that to feed the federal government. So let's look at these things holistically. Let us sit down and put these things in right perspective. Then do it holistically. So when the state government are looking at it, then we see that the federal government is sincere with what they are doing, and they will have reasons to sign these things. Because if they create this federal autonomy to come to the grassroots, they should do it so that it will comprise every aspect.
Well, you know, when you're saying that, why not just do whatever it's doing is what doing well? Why not just do it very well?
Yes.
I'm remembering the Petroleum Industry Act and how it was done. And at the end of the day, we are told that it's better that it passes now and it's easier to amend much later. And I'm wondering if that will apply in a situation like this, talking about local government autonomy. But you rightly raised earlier, Honorable Essay, that if you are going to give SIECs autonomy and then security and all that, talking about appointments and all, if you're going to give them financial autonomy at the national level, it's okay. Let them still conduct these elections. By the end of the day, who appoints the head of SEC and all that? And these are issues, and SEC has been tried and all that. Many Nigerians, as of right now, equally do not have confidence on INEC. Many young Nigerians, especially those ones who voted for the first time last year. Yes, many of them felt so heartbroken. I'm never voting again. Hopefully, their hearts are changed before the next election. But we've seen patterns in other parts of the world. We've seen electoral colleges that seems to be entirely independent from the control of the government. A system that just allows for professionals to rise in the system and conduct these things in the environment, in the society. Professor, don't you think that would be better for a society like Nigeria? Let's have sex that is not a head of electoral umpires that are not appointed by the executive, but that just rise to the occasion within a system.
I think what you're trying to say is institutional autonomy. I think that is why democracy in quote is thriving in USA, in Switzerland, in Australia. In Australia. That is why. It's still the same human being that is running it. They still have all those parochial and selfish interests, but the institutions are autonomous. The institutions cannot be bent like ours. If not, Trump would have been able to, bend the institutions in USA. If they are granting autonomy, it should be total, like he mentioned. Autonomy in selecting leadership at the local level. Autonomy in terms of resources. Autonomy in terms of generation and spending resource finances. Autonomy in every area. Of course, even in the judiciary. Are you getting me? Let the autonomy be total. You see now, sorry to say, I don't know what I should say, but
why not say it?
There's a course I teach at the master's level. Then this is intergovernmental relations. You see, in Nigeria, the way it is now, the local government officials are just there. Superficially, they are placed there to generate and not to account. If they are on the good book of the governor, they will just be chop and what? Chop. If you really want to make money, go to the local government. EFCC will not, they don't have the records to pursue you. Are you getting me? Because they are collecting, and there is nothing they are spending it on. They are not developing their localities. All they do is, if they are on the good book of the governor, the chairman and the auditor, they call it at the local, the one in charge of the finance at the local level.
Is it the auditor?
Is it the auditor? No, not auditor.
Head of SEC.
No.
HPM.
No, not HPM. Is it the accountant? You call it?
They call them.
They call them. There's a name. They call.
Yes. No, they call them.
No, they call them one name.
The
The one that is in charge of finance
For the local government.
for the local government. What's the chairman and the one in charge? Is it? No, not cashier. The one that is in charge of finance wants that, and the chairman are on the good book of the governor. Finish. Whatever that is coming, they report to the governor, and that is the end. Are you getting me? You see, a lot of resources are going unaccounted for.
And that would bring us to the question, what's then to show that, or to say that giving local government full autonomy will change things for the better?
Now it will. It will. Why? Because the way it is now, those who are in charge If the people get to know that the local authorities are the one in charge, they are the one extracting from us, if they fail to deliver, they will incur the wrath of the people because they are living close to the people. Are you getting me? They are living close to the people. Even if the government, the structure, fail to bring them to book, the people will go directly. But now you have a situation where those that are, they do not even know those that are extracting from them. They do not know whether it's the chairman, they do not know whether it's a governor, or neither do they know whether it's a president. Are you getting it? If you know this person is extracting from me, and without, you know, the required, you know, contribution to my life and society, I want to call you, chairman, what is the problem? The money you are collecting, the people can call him or her to what? Account. There's no accountability. There's no transparency. In fact, in my own take, there is no democracy in Nigeria. We are just paying lip service to what is called democracy.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, at least we call it democracy, and we are moving. Like some people will say, we are improving one way or the other. We are not in the same place with Niger, some of the other West African countries at the moment. But then coming back to Honorable Essay, with all that Prof has said right about now, and you know, do you see this autonomy talked about now at the federal level bringing about that change that Prof just talked about, the ones where people will look at local government and say, this is the grassroots for development around here? Do you see it bringing about that change if this autonomy goes through, this bill goes through at the state assemblies, and then we have a situation where INEC begins to conduct elections for local government area? Do you think it's going to help bring about that change, or it's going to take more than just that?
Well, I think you in this wise you can't have what is going to be more than just that. But rather, let me just say that that question has actually been addressed by Prof. directly or indirectly,
okay,
in the course of his analysis. Now, for me, it is actually going to bring that change, and the reason why I said it has been addressed by Prof is simple. We don't have that autonomy. That is why he landed his thought by his final views that once you have the local government chairman and the man in charge of finance at the local government council in tandem, then it is over for that local government. And whether you like it or not, that is what we see across board right now. And that is why to the extent where some states, they have caretaker committee. In no distant time, that of Delta State is going to take place, because I believe between now and March, April, we're going to be having local government council election this year. People are already warming up to that. And most times, it is the people who are nominated or appointed to the caretaker committee, either as lawmakers, if you like, to hold brief for the chairman of that council, that will later still emerge. Or it will bound to be, go and just, let me borrow Prof's word, go and just shop your own now, so that you step aside and will bring the other people that were appointed to take charge. So for me, to make it simple and short, I think this topic does not even need too many talks here and there, although for the purpose of enlightenment. The truth is that there's going to be that differential change. Because if you have done something over and over, they say it's only a mad person that will do something and over. And this clamor for this autonomy, administrative autonomy and financial autonomy for local government council have been over time. That's because even on paper, we are not practicing the federal system of government. We shouldn't be debating this, because ordinarily we should have had the local government council independent in terms of finance, independent in terms of administration. These governors do not want to leave this cliff, because they want to continue to subdue us. And of course, like Prof said, we are the ones that are closest to these persons, and we can always call them to account. So for me, let us go for the change. It is a positive change for me, because change could be anything. If you move from good to bad, it's a change. If you move from, the man who builds a house has made a positive change. The man who goes down, pull down the house, has equally made change for making the house not to be there. Right now, where we are now, is as good as we are in a house that is already being pulled down. So there's need for us to go through this way, because in my personal opinion, it's going to give us the desired result. We can only modify going forward. But we need to experiment on it.
Okay, well, Comrade Iyakware Vincent, we are not there yet. We are only hoping that it scales through. But as of where we are right now, we are, like he said, we have local government elections coming up really, really soon. How do you think we can make the best out of the system that is the present, what we see currently?
Thank you. You know, when you have a good leader at the helm of affairs, things will definitely change. I start this discussion by saying that the state governors do not trust the federal government leadership for them to come and say they want to conduct, give to INEC, and Prof. This that who appoints the INEC. Now, the bone of contention here is that in the Constitution of Nigeria, is there no provision that elections should be held in the local government? There's provision. And it's assumed that the local government will operate on their own. These are things that are there. But what has the federal government, so to say, been doing when you see a state government that is supposed to conduct an election for complete 4 years? In his full tenure, he did not conduct the election. And nothing is said about it. None of the institution or whatever, INEC or the federal government, whoever is supposed to be in charge, nobody is saying anything about it. Then the states that I said, okay, we feel that the federal government is chanting, who are who. Look, let's do our own. They did it. This is happening. So what are we really talking about? The issue here is not even granting autonomy to the local government, but doing the right thing. The federal government should do the right thing, because they can as well, the president could as well say, state government, conduct your election at this time, at this time. Look, these are the laws to which local government are supposed to operate. And they operate on those things. If the institutions are working, the issue of trying to divert attention to local government autonomy or all those things, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. They are just trying to shift attention.
So you think that the federal government, if they want to, can get state governments to conduct local government elections using SEC?
Using this, SEC, yes.
Despite the fact that has been said to be a problem on its own.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I wish we had more time to go about this conversation, but it seems we are far behind schedule already. Just before we go, Honorable Essay, what would be your final thoughts on this very discourse on local government autonomy?
Well, because I believe in Nigeria, and I believe if you believe in Nigeria, then you want to believe in the growth and development of this great nation. This nation is great by us fairs, gifted by us fairs, except that our managers are our problems. So, and because I believe strongly in this nation, and like I've said on this platform at some point, this nation has almost taken my destiny away, and I do not want this nation to do that attempt on my kids. So our voices will be made loud so that the right things should be done. If you ask me, like I said earlier, I think this move will go a long way to help us if it sails through. So civil societies and every Nigerian that is meaningful or mean well about this nation should rise and ensure that the states do not have influence to stop it. Let's experiment on a new change.
Okay. Professor, what's your final thought on this discussion?
Well, I will not go on a different note from what he had said. I think we all should be patriotic enough, downplay our selfish interest, and allow the interest of the generality to prevail.
All right, thank you so much for joining me today, gentlemen. Comrade Iyakware Vincent, Honorable S.A. Jerry, and Professor Chief Patrick Oromaregake, JP. Thank you for joining me on Political Arena today.
Thank you.
And that's about it on today's episode of Political Arena. It's definitely coming your way again, same time on Wednesday. But until then, do well to take care of yourself. Remember, you are your own Chief Security Officer. My name is Ogenekaro Awakwo. Just stay. All right, thank you, sir.